Hey guys, it's Suzy and I'm recording live from my secret lair at, Wendy's. Tonight I have to record where I am, so I have time to record it. So anyway, I think you're going to love the video. But if you hear background noise, 90s music, which I do enjoy by the way, then you'll know where it came from. Stay tuned for some really good tips tonight on the first part of connecting OneNote class notebook to Canvas. We're going to focus on the connection aspect. And then in the next video, which I hope to release later this week, you'll actually learn more about class notebooks. Stay tuned. So if you already have Canvas and it's so robust, why in the world do you even want to turn on Class Notebook? Well, I'm going to give you 3 reasons. And if none of these reasons are something you need, then guess what? Stop this video. Don't watch it anymore. I'm what they call on the OneNote love boat, but I do not believe in using a tool just to use a tool, whether I love it or not. So you want to use a tool that benefits your practice. So let me give you 3 reasons you might need to turn on Class Notebook in Canvas, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty in a couple of slides. So number 1, there are options directly in Canvas, whether you are Google connected or Office 365 connected, in order to have kids do a template that you send out and send it back to you. But there's not that piece for PDFs. PDFs are meant to not be written on, okay? But with the class notebook, you can actually have kids draw, write on top of, interact with, annotate all types of PDFs, and it adds that interactivity that we might enjoy, that we feel like we're missing in remote learning. Number 2, even though you can technically send kids PowerPoints or Word documents, or if you're on the Google side of the house, a Google tool, you can send them some of those native products to be able to annotate. I've heard from some they cannot get cloud assignments working. So this is a piece that you can turn on if cloud assignments are not working for you. They're supposed to be able to annotate Word documents or Google Docs or whatever, but it's just not working. Then you can use the cloud or the OneNote class notebook as a substitute for that. And then number 3, y'all, I'm just going to step on my soapbox for a minute. I am currently parenting a teenage boy who is on remote learning. And this teenage boy has like a gob of PDFs that he's supposed to be printing or something, or having me print for him to complete and then send back, even though they have Canvas. So if you want to reduce printing for your parents, don't send them a list of PDFs in a module. Instead, use the OneNote class notebook. So I'm going to show you how to turn it on later in this video. Before we get to the step of turning the notebook on, I want to just give you a couple tips on cleaning up your PDFs, because that's the main reason, again, that I use Class Notebook is for interactive PDFs, because there's not another solution for that in Canvas that I like. Maybe there is one, I don't like them as well. This is the one I love. And so anyway, one place that you can clean up PDFs, and by clean up, I mean, okay, for example, you bought something on Teachers Pay Teachers, and you want your, you don't want those direction sheets or the things that say, rate my store, available to your students. You want them to think you made this great and wonderful presentation. You can take things into PDF Candy, which is a free website, if you want to clear up or clean up extra pages. So you can do lots of things with PDFs on here, and one of them is you can delete pages. So you would just upload that PDF, and I think I have one just randomly on my desktop that was some stuff I was saving for my little girl. Yes, this thing called Do-A-Dots. Okay, so for example, I didn't want this direction sheet on there. I could select that page to delete, and any other pages, and I can delete it. And it'll give me a downloadable file that includes just the pages I want. Okay, so that's one way to clean up a PDF. What's a second way to clean it up? Well, the second way is to use what's called a OneNote printer, okay? So I'm going to open the PDF itself. Let me pause to do that. So the second way you can clean up a PDF, get rid of extra pages, which I do give a shout out to NatashaLH.com for these wonderful Do-A-Dots for my toddler. But you can choose print on that PDF. And instead of choosing your actual printer, you're going to choose something called Print, or it's called OneNote for Windows 10. Now, this is a virtual printer. Nothing's going to come shooting out a printer. What it's doing is it's going to send it to OneNote in the section and page you want it to go. So I can say print to this, and then it'll blink OneNote at me at the bottom. I've kind of cut that off down here, but it'll blink where you want it to go, and then you just pick a notebook. Okay. It'll ask you what section to put it in. Okay. And then that page comes into that notebook in a virtual method, okay? So what I meant to show you, was the whole point. I meant to show you how you can cut off pages. So let me pause and do that. Redo. We're already recording in a random place. So anyway, what I want to show you too is you could say pages 2 through 14 or whatever it is you wanted to print out. And then it'll only print those certain pages into OneNote. Okay, so I went in reverse, but maybe you did not know about the OneNote virtual printer, so I hope that helped you. So now that we have gotten the why behind us and the cleaning up the PDF to prepare for this step, we're now ready to turn on Class Notebook and activate it in your course. Now this is a course by course thing in Canvas, and you cannot do this in the free Canvas account because Class Notebook is a setting that would be turned on by your administrator, whoever that Canvas person is, okay? So what the goal is to add Class Notebook to our sidebar. Now, if you watched, among the 60,000 people I think now who have watched it, I think Simplifying the Sidebar has been one of my most popular videos. If you've watched it, chances are you have. You know that I don't have many buttons turned on for my students at all. But if you're going to use this Class Notebook Interactive Document tab, then you want to make sure it's turned on for your kiddos, okay? So the way that you do that is as you get everything, you go to Settings. I'm going to go there and I'm going to tap Navigation. Join me back in just a minute. So what I've done is I've made sure that Class Notebook is dragged to the top. See right here where it says drag and drop items to reorder them. If it was in the hide from students section down here, then obviously it would be hidden from students. So I dragged it up and then there's a save button at the bottom. Once it's there, I'm going to pause for a minute and I'm going to show you how I'd get logged in to connect the Class Notebook to the Canvas course for the very first time. So I'm obviously not going to show you my password or anything, but the first time you as a teacher tap Class Notebook on your course, you're going to get this little prompt that says sign into OneNote. I'm going to sign in and then I'll show you the wizard that appears there. Okay, so when you first open, when you first open a Class Notebook, it's going to ask you what to call it. You can name it the name of the course. Here's my one caveat for that is typically I don't advocate changing the name of a OneNote notebook, but here's the deal. If you're going to teach the same course name from year to year, I have seen where OneNote names them all the same exact thing. So it might be good to put at least your course and then the year and the period that you're teaching it, okay? That might be helpful. So I'm going to call this one, let's see, American Lit, third period, 2021, okay? Something like that. You're the boss of what you call it, okay? And then you'll just keep walking through this wizard. So it'll ask you what to name it. It'll give you a little tour of what Class Notebook structure is. And I can spend a minute on that now. So basically, if you're familiar with OneNote, OneNote is like a big digital notebook. You can't lose anything. I love it. It gives kids the ideal organization and make sure they stay that way all year. I know a collection of 8th grade boys I used to teach that I loved, but were crazy disorganized. And I never had dividers in their binders, or like I said, the high school boy that I have now. Anyway, it doesn't matter if you bought them dividers, they're nowhere to be found. So think of a Class Notebook as a very organized notebook, but with special permissions, okay? So one of those permissions, I'll show you how to turn off in the next video because I think you only need to have it turned on when you're aware of it, is the collaboration space because everybody can edit there whether you are there or not, and kids can be having a good old time. So I'm going to show you, talk about how you could purposefully turn that on or off when you want to. The content library is a look, don't touch. Kids can see what's there, and even if there's something that didn't come through to their notebook, they can find it there, but they can't edit anything. It's a good place for you preparing materials that you're going to send out but haven't yet. Or you can use the teacher only section if you want to have a completely private staging area. And again, I'm going to go through how to use these in my next segment of the video to be released later. But if you want to stage your materials there, kids can't even see that they exist, and it gives you a kind of a planning zone for you to release documents at a later date. And then finally, each kid gets a two-way communication piece, a private notebook that's just for you and them. I can send you stuff, you can send me stuff, I can grade it, I can give you feedback or whatever, and no one can see it except that student and the teacher. So this is just a tutorial or an explanation, really. You don't have to change anything there. I'm going to click Next. It'll ask if I want to give other teachers permission to use the notebook. I'm not going to do that at this time, but if you have a co-teacher. And then it gives you two options. You can either do more work or less work is how I like to say it. So it's going to ask, what are your students' names? You can automatically have them join the notebook, yes please, or you can type and paste them individually into the notebook. I don't want to do that. I want them to automatically join. So I'm just going to keep that setting, click Next. And then finally, if you were to organize that kid the ideal way, you get to be so bossy and control freak here, which I love. I think all of us who became teachers are probably slightly bossy, right? And we like things a certain way. So think about that ideal kid's notebook. How would you want it organized? You can delete sections, you can add sections, and you can rename sections. So I can take this one that says handouts and I can call it whatever I want to call it. Okay, assignments. or something really specific like a book you taught. Like I used to teach To Kill a Mockingbird, not an American Lit. You know, I don't make my, as you've noticed, I'm just kind of loosey-goosey with my examples, but you could keep on if you know that you're going to need to put things in certain sections. But let me give you 2 tips. Number 1, you can add sections later. Don't feel like you have to get everything here at the same time. Number 2, if you know that you're going to just give a few PDFs and this is not going to be something you use all the time, maybe just make one big section. And then I said 2 tips. Let me give you 3 anyway. I told you I'm bossy. Number 3, you never want to have more tabs than you have assignments. I was helping a sweet teacher a few years ago, and she probably had like 20 dividers and then 1 assignment in each one is what I'm going to call these, or 20 sections in OneNote. And so a real notebook would never be organized that way. You have a big category, and then it's something you're going to use over and over again, refer back to over and over again. So create a section that is encompassing enough that you can use it over and over again to store what you send to your students, okay? So I'm going to leave just one section. This is just practice. I'm going to click next. Then it ends with giving you a preview. Okay, this is your teacher notebook. And if I had students already joined to the notebook, their names would be right down here. I don't, because remember I set it up where they will join automatically, and I'll show you how to do that. That's the last part of this video. And then it'll also give you a preview of what the kids will see. So here's they can see my sections except for teacher only, and they also see the tabs that I sent them for their ideal notebook, okay? So I am ready to create, and I just click this purple button and I wait for it to do its thing. I'm going to pause. And then the last thing you want to do on your side is you want to make sure to open the notebook to kind of activate it into being, okay? It'll prompt you to download the class notebook add-in. If you're using an older version of OneNote, like OneNote 2016, you can do that. I'm using the OneNote for Windows 10. I don't have to download the class notebook add-in, so that's you, okay? And I'm just going to choose to open it in OneNote Online to activate it, okay? Stay tuned. So mine is open and activated. I did cut it off over here, but that's because in this video, I'm not really showing you how to work through Class Notebook. That's going to be the next video. You're going to love it. I'm just going to go ahead and preemptively say that you're going to love the video. But anyway, I've opened it to activate it from my side. So now how do students activate it? Let me go back. So the first time that kids need to get into this notebook, they are just going to tap Class Notebook. Now, I cannot show you that because I'm not a real student, okay? But when they tap Class Notebook, it will allow them to also open it online, and it connects their account so that from then on, they have their own section in the notebook. That's all there is to having, to turning it on. You just have to add it in the navigation, walk through the wizard, and then tell kids to click it after you have opened it the first time. One caveat, again, I think I've used that word too many times in this video, but one tip is to make sure that your kids are opening in Google Chrome. That seems to be the best browser for allowing all of this process to work, okay? If you're thinking, Suzy, that was a scam. Like we didn't really use we didn't learn how to use OneNote Class Notebook. No, but I did tease you from the beginning that I just wanted to show you how to turn it on, how to prep yourself, how to decide if you even need it. Because you might say, hey, after watching that video, I'm like, I don't really need OneNote Class Notebook. That's okay, skip the next one. But here's what's coming in the next segment. I'm going to walk you through what the notebook looks like, if you've never been in OneNote, kind of how that functions, how you store documents, how you send them to kids, how you can grade in there, how it becomes interactive. So you're going to love it. Stay tuned. Hey guys, I put my heart into these videos, so I hope you loved it. I hope you've loved all of them, but if you haven't, then make sure you go back and watch the previous videos. I'm making playlists for you all the time. So if you're somebody who wants time savers, there's a playlist for that. If you want to gamify, playlist for that. And all of my themes of my blog. So, did you like it? Go ahead and click the thumb below. If you really liked it, I'd love if you shared it on your favorite social media channel. I'm at Suzy Lolley on Twitter. And then finally, my very favorite is if you subscribe. Subscribe to YouTube and subscribe on the blog. Take care.